We have a very special guest with us, Audrey Williams. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. Now, this book is so exciting. I was looking at it, Unbothered, and when I began to do my research on it, I say Unbothered. It just resonated and just stood out. Introduce yourself to our audience and then tell us a little bit about this book.
Hi, my name is Audrey Williams. I am an author, a singer, an actress, and I also do photography, when I'm not doing that. A true Renaissance woman. Anything that I'm able to do, any gift, I'm using it.
I was looking at your book. It really caught me. You started to talk about your relationship with your papa and how your papa was the one who encouraged you. Your papa gave you a sense of value and self-worth. And then you mentioned this song by ZZ Hill, Down Home Blues.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that and the encouragement that you got from your papa.
Well, the song itself, he had one of them old Lincolns. He lived in Detroit. He was a painter and a contractor. So, we'd be riding, his black Lincoln, down home blue. It's so catchy, and the beat, like, way over town. So it's like, even now you hear the beat, it's like, it literally take me back to when I was that young. But his encouragement, for me is like, anytime I had an album out, anything, because of course he wasn't here when this came out. He died in 2014. 17, my dad died in 14. But it's like anytime I have an album out, he'll be like, okay, well, send me 10 copies. I'm going to sell them for you. Or like he'll buy everything in bulks. And it's like, when you see the, back when The Voice was popular, American Idol was popular, but like, I want to see my grandbaby going to be on TV one day, or I want to see you on the Grammys. Like nothing was ever too big for him.
Speaking to your potential.
Yeah. So it was always, regardless of what you're doing, Papa ain't going to be here always, but, I believe in you so much, like there is no limit, even though when you see limitations for yourself. It's always good to have somebody that, in spite of whatever flaw you may feel that you're pointing out to yourself, somebody else is looking at the greater, bigger picture.
So he spoke that purpose in the... You said something here that says, it was powerful when I looked at this. Your papa made you feel like you mattered. Then you talk about tasting your tears. Speak to us about that when you talk about tasting your tears.
A lot of times people feel like they're too strong to cry. They're too strong to have a realistic emotion. Like it's untouchable. But at the same time, one thing that Cheryl Brady, one of my favorite preachers, she mentioned is like, when you're crying, it's watering on good ground. It's sowing into that, whatever your seed is. So it's like, don't be fearful of, shedding your tears. On whatever the thing is, getting that stuff out, digging to the root of the thing. A lot of people don't want to, you have a lot of unhealed adults. Because nobody wants to deal with the child thing. And a lot of stuff.
Powerful.
Yeah, a lot of people think like a lot of issues. They'll be like, oh, well, that person just got this attitude, or this person is just this kind of way because of what you see today. That stuff didn't come from just today. It's not just because of that boss. It's not because they're just afraid of men now. What happened when they was younger? Who molested them? Who hurt them? You have to dig to the root of it. And if you have to cry getting that process out, let that happen.
Let the tears flow.
Cause
it's part of healing.
Yeah. When I was writing each chapter, it's like a lot of stuff, especially the chapters talking about more of my granddad and my father. It's like you find yourself pausing and having to go back to it because you keep crying. However, it's like, but it's necessary for me to get it out.
You find yourself pausing. Was the pause necessary?
Yes.
That's a powerful statement.
Yes.
You find yourself pausing. What's the value and the significance of that pause as you're navigating that journey?
Reflecting.
Okay.
Because when you pause, it's like some people feel that they have to rush. I have to get it done now. I have this deadline. No, it's okay taking your time. At the end of the day, you can't get time back. Don't rush it. It has to be, everything has a purpose. So it's like, if I have to take my time and make sure when I'm pausing, that is a meaningful pause and that is for a good purpose, then it's necessary.
Now, you said purpose. You said, loving God, not knowing your purpose, 11 years old, tired, suicide shouldn't be a thought.
Right.
That's a powerful, powerful reality and a powerful statement. Speak to us about that.
A lot of times people have the unction of feeling like, oh, well, you go to church, there is no issues. You go to church, you're the perfect person. Not realizing that, first of all, God, Jesus, that's the only perfect person. That we're all imperfect people striving for perfection. So it's like, with that being said, it's like, I don't go to church because I'm perfect. I go because I'm imperfect, striving for something better. So it's like, they think as if you cannot have issues, as if because I go to church, because I love God, that everything else is not possible. But it's like the Bible also says that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So with that being said, it's like, it don't say it won't form.
It's going to form.
But it's not going to prosper.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just worded differently.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can't be like, oh, well, I love God, so I shouldn't have any issues. But at the same time, when you're saying that, oh, I love God, my life should just be great. No, because you're saying that if my life was so good to the point I didn't have any issues, what is the point of me praying? Well, I'm asking God for anything if I got it all together myself. Yeah. There has to be a gap. There has to be a void. There has to be that need.
So there's a dependency.
Yes, he does enough.
Wow.
More than enough for you to be grateful forever, but at the same time, enough of a gap for you to still need him. The requirement has to be necessary.
Let's do this. Chapter 1, good enough, powerful. Chapter 2, functioning and dysfunction. Girl, you better hush. And then chapter 6, soul ties.
Yes.
Look right there and speak to our audience briefly a little bit about good enough.
Good enough. A lot of times you may feel as if you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. The act of comparison in this generation is heavy. Social media is playing a lot of influence on that. But at the end of the day, understand and realize that God does not make any mistakes. And that's what it boils down to. It's not about, oh, well, my nose should be different. My body should be different. I need a surgery on this. My voice should sound like this. At the end of the day, somebody is greater than what you're doing. If this book is great, somebody got a better book. If I sing good, somebody sing better. But at the end of the day, I know that what God created, he didn't create a mistake. That means that there's fault in him, and there's no failure in him.
Wow.
So therefore, there's no failure in you either.
That's good. Good enough.
Yes.
Each and every person has to understand that they are here intentionally.
Right.
They're not a mistake. See, that's a powerful statement. God didn't make a mistake. So that means when God gave birth to you, to me, out of his matrix, his womb, which is his spirit, he didn't make a mistake.
Right.
We're good enough. You have to control your thinking, control your thoughts, control your emotions. You talked about that. What you definitely touched on was unhealed hurts, unmet needs, and unresolved issues from the inner healing needs to take place.
Yes.
Now, here it is. Now, this is powerful. Functioning and dysfunction. Talk to them about that.
Functioning and dysfunction, a synopsis, a small portion of that. A lot of times we get comfortable in the comfortability of the thing that's uncomfortable, which is crazy. I'm used to a guy being disrespectful because that's just what I'm used to. I love this person, so I'm going to settle for this. Or I'm used to being disrespected, so it's when you talk to me bad, I'm not going to correct you because this is what I'm accustomed to. But just because you're accustomed to it doesn't mean you have to get comfortable in it. We have to get to the place where the dysfunction, we stop functioning in it. You know, you live a life where it's, since I'm unhealed, I'm going to just deal with the uncomfortable thing and stay there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just deal with the uncomfortable thing and stay there.
Yeah.
But one thing I say in the book later on in a different chapter is that I'm not stuck in anything.
Wow.
You know, just like any building that you're in, they have to have the exit signs visible, just like a way of escape, but temptation. It's the same thing. You might not see it immediately, but it's still there.
There's a way out.
Absolutely.
Now you said something. So then we have to understand that we have the capacity to get unstuck.
Right.
Now, so that comes with renewing the spirit of the mind.
Yes.
Now let's do this. We have just a few minutes left. I want you to touch on soul ties. This is so very important. A born-again believer with a recreated spirit cannot be demon-possessed.
Right.
If any person be in Christ, they are a new creation. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. But does that truth become your truth? See, I can hear the truth, but then I have to go from truth to truth. So if old things are passed away, there are no generational curses that can be attached to me because the blood of Jesus has taken that. But there can be some soul ties and some generational tendencies that will show up in my life. When you talk about soul ties, talk to us about that.
Soul ties. I hate the word generational curse.
Yeah.
I don't like to feel as if I'm subjected to deal with something that somebody else did or they didn't deal with.
You better say it.
But for me, soul ties, when it comes to a relationship, because I'm a female, it's like people will ask, well, why aren't you married yet? If you have soul ties that you have with other people that you have not healed from, you cannot get married to somebody when you're not single. You marry each person that you've been dealing with. So until you divorce everybody you've been dealing with, that's that soul tie you need to pray and let it get rid of. When it comes to generational curses, it's consistent prayer. Prayer repeated. Somebody told me once, a repeated prayer, tongue tie. A repeated prayer is never harmful. And I was like, okay, that sounds simple, it's common. But no, a repeated prayer never hurt nobody.
Yeah.
And that's a consistent thing. You can't tell me because the spirit of depression has ran in my family that I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to keep praying that thing off of me because I'm not going to be bound to anything.
Wow. Now that's powerful. Soul tie. So watch this now. We're going to do this and then we're going to have about 45 seconds left. The spirit of binding and loosing, I say that the church has gotten it reversed. He says, take my yoke upon you. That's binding. And learn of me. I loose the spirit of depression from me. I loose the spirit of anxiety, the spirit of oppression. See, I loose those things from me. I bind to me joy. I bind to me peace. I bind to me the mind of Christ. Take my yoke upon you. So you're speaking some powerful things. We've got 30 seconds here. Tell people how they can get in touch with you and where they can get the book.
You can get this book, Unbothered, Amazon Kindle. You can get the merchandise also the same way. You can find me on Instagram at Audrey Williams Music, first last name Music, and everywhere social media, my music, everywhere music is sold, iTunes, Amazon, just everywhere. Remember this space, Unbothered.
Unbothered. Isaiah 26:3. He will keep you in perfect peace. Hey, this has been Books of the Month. Powerful woman of God. We look forward to seeing you next month for Books of the Month. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
My